A wildfire is canceling class today for some students in Bedford County.
You can expect that this fire is going to last for several days.
We're live near the Matts Creek fire as crews continue to battle the flames.
A town here in Virginia is running out of water.
We're actually taking out more water than's going in.
How many days the town of Appalachia has in its water supply?
Several families in Danville have been left without a home after a fire ripped through an apartment complex. What you can do to help them get back on their feet.
And later, holiday shopping is just around the corner. This morning, we're taking a look at the latest toy trends, how you can get the best deals this Christmas.
We're still dry today, but we don't have the sunshine. A lot of clouds back in the forecast this morning. I'll have more on when you can expect the rain coming up.
News coverage you can count on. This is Good Morning Virginia.
Good Wednesday morning, Virginia. Time now is 6:01. I'm Patty Martin.
And I'm Paige Meyer. A wildfire has now burned at least 1,200 acres in Bedford County. At last check, we're told 0% of the fire is contained.
We do have team coverage as crews continue to battle the flames. We're going to start with ABC13's Jacob Hunziker, who joins us off Lee Jackson Highway near Big Island this morning. And Jacob, tell us what you're seeing.
Patty, really not a whole lot that we're seeing out here as of right now, and good morning to both of you. We're currently live right outside the Blue Ridge Parkway's entrance here in Bedford County. Visually, the smoke hasn't been too bad this morning. A little bit of haziness in our headlights on the way to this location, but nothing too terrible. And I think a big part of that is, of course, still how dark it is out this morning. The big issue that we've been running into and the big concern has been the air quality. If you've ever stood next to a bonfire, which I'm sure most of our viewers have, that feeling of just constant smoke in your face and the thickness of it in the air, that's really what the issue has been so far in the last hour. Actually, some troubles that I've had breathing over that last hour because of just how thick the smoke is and the smell of that burning ash and fire. And it's been so bad in parts of Bedford County that Big Island Elementary School has actually canceled classes for today. Now, crews tell us that the big reason for that, thankfully, no fires are near schools physically, but officials say the big reason for that cancellation is the air quality, as I mentioned. According to the fire officials, this wildfire has now burned more than 1,200 acres, and it is likely to get even bigger before the crews can put it out. The fire is burning in a remote, steep area, so it's been tough for firefighters to even get to it. Now, there is some good news here. The fire is far enough from any homes and businesses, so there hasn't been any evacuations yet. That's going to be something we continue to monitor throughout the morning, throughout the day, and throughout the rest of the week. But unfortunately, some bad news. The weather conditions are not cooperating with the fire crews. The dry air, the dry ground, and of course that dry brush is a recipe for a potentially long-lasting fire.
You can expect that this fire is going to last for several days, if not longer. And so people in the local communities can expect to see or smell smoke because of this fire.
Now, the U.S. Department of Fire Service tells ABC13 that they're going to be sending out an update later this morning on the condition of the fire and their efforts to contain it. So definitely stick with us throughout the morning. We'll provide you updates on the condition as soon as we get that information from them later this morning. Live in Bedford County this morning, Jacob Hunziker, ABC13 News.
Thanks, Jacob. And as we mentioned, the dry conditions are one of the main reasons why the fire has spread so quickly. Let's head on over to meteorologist Thomas Battle over in the Weather Center. Thomas, we need the rain, but we're not going to see it anytime soon.
No, unfortunately, we're just not. We've got a lot of clouds over, so you might think walking out this morning, like, okay, we've got clouds outside. It's going to rain later. Unfortunately, no. These are mostly just high clouds, and these are drifting in from the south. We're going to look at that in just a second. But you can tell all these clouds covering everybody this morning. That's trying to keep us a little warmer. Let's zoom in a little, and I'm going to show you where that fire is. Northern Bedford County. Again, not to scale, but just to show you kind of where that is. The winds, though, at the surface, even though you see the clouds going towards the east, the winds are going to be carrying most of the smoke northward today. But zooming back out, there's the rain. All of this across the southeast, that's why we have clouds over us. All these are high clouds. They're not going to produce any rain for us yet. We'll see that system swing into the east. We'll look at that again in a few minutes. Temperatures today in the 30s, back to the 50s, and low 60s in the afternoon. Rain chances are slim for Friday, but I'll have more on what you can expect for Friday coming up in just a few minutes.
New this morning, a multi-acre brush fire in Franklin County is now contained. That's according to the Franklin County Department of Public Safety. They posted these pictures on the scene on their Facebook page. This was yesterday in the Wirtz area of the county. The cause of the fire is under investigation, and they remind the community the county is still under a burn ban.
Drought conditions have sparked a water shortage emergency in the town of Appalachia, Virginia, with the forecast calling for little to no rain. As Thomas mentioned, it's not expected to get better anytime soon. The town's water supply has now been reduced to 60 days. Residents are being asked to conserve water as part of a contingency plan. Town leaders say they believe this is the driest fall on record since roughly 1922.
We're actually taking out more water than's going in, and the source of the water, called Ben's Branch, is absolutely dry.
Businesses are expected to reduce water consumption to 80% of their average monthly usage, and a surcharge will be placed on all residential water use above a 4,000 gallons per month limit. Now, folks on the south side are joining forces to help families impacted by a devastating fire get back on their feet.
The flames tore through the building Sunday morning at the North Point apartment complex. 12 apartments were destroyed. Officials say 23 families are displaced, and the Red Cross and a local business owner are helping those impacted. A former resident says her family is doing the best they can to put on a brave face.
We're just going to take it day by day. I mean, that's all we can do. We're just trying our best to get back on our feet.
The Pennsylvania County Public Safety Director says they are still working to determine the cause of the fire.
God's Pit Crew is also lending a helping hand. On Tuesday, they sent out blessing buckets and play pails to families of the fire. Each bucket has 27 essential items like hygiene products, ready-to-eat food, and bottled water. The play pails have items for children like crayons, a blanket, and stuffed animals. God's Pit Crew representatives say that they plan to stay in contact with the community, fire, and EMS to make sure they're able to provide all they need. Breaking overnight in the war in Gaza, what we're learning about the Israeli airstrike on a major hospital there.
Plus, here at home, thousands gathered in D.C. in the March for Israel, the changes they want to see as that war in Gaza continues.
Time now is 6:09, and breaking overnight, the Israeli military launched what it calls a targeted operation at a hospital in Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry claims dozens of soldiers were inside the emergency department as Israeli forces searched the hospital's basement. U.S. officials say there's evidence that Hamas has been using tunnels beneath hospitals to hide weapons and hostages.
In Gaza City, they have weapons stored there and are prepared to respond to an Israeli military operation against the facility.
A senior U.S. official calls the tunnels multi-layered and extensive, containing hundreds of Hamas fighters who set up booby traps. Meanwhile, a senior Israeli source says progress has been made towards a deal that could free some of the 239 hostages being held by Hamas. The source saying a breakthrough could come within 72 hours.
Israel has agreed to allow fuel shipments into the Gaza Strip for humanitarian operations. Israeli defense officials previously barred fuel deliveries to Gaza out of concern Hamas would use them. Humanitarian agencies warned the shortages were preventing aid deliveries into the area. The UN agency operating in Gaza says it will soon be forced to stop operations.
Tens of thousands of people gathered in Washington, D.C. to take part in the March for Israel yesterday. U.S. lawmakers, Jewish community leaders, and celebrities spoke at the march. Organizers say it's meant to encourage all Americans to come together in solidarity with Israel and condemn a recent surge of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. They're also calling for hostages taken by Hamas to be freed.
We stand here firm against global anti-Semitism. We stand here firm in confrontation of anti-Semitism here in these United States. We stand here to say enough. Maspek, maspik.
Since the start of the war, there have also been protests against Israel's airstrikes in Gaza. Critics are calling for a ceasefire to prevent more civilian deaths amid a deepening humanitarian crisis.
A plan to avoid a government shutdown passes in the House. Coming up, a look at the chances that bill will be able to clear the Senate.
Plus, holiday shopping is just around the corner. We have a rundown on the hottest toys and best deals.
It's been a dry week so far, but we do have just a little bit of rain in the forecast for Friday. I'm going to time that rain out for you when we come back after this coffee break.
Back now at 6:14 with a live look from Capitol Hill. The House cleared a big hurdle to avoid a government shutdown. For now, the chamber passed a continuing resolution extending funding for some government agencies through mid-January and others through early February. Democrats joined in to help the measure pass after hardline conservatives in the GOP voted against it because it lacks big spending cuts. It appears the major parties in the Senate will work together to pass it as well.
I intend to support it. It's nice to see us working together to prevent a government shutdown.
The Speaker's proposal is far from perfect, but the most important thing is that it refrains from making steep cuts.
The government would run out of money after midnight Saturday morning if Congress can't pass legislation and get it to the president's desk.
Well, 93 Republicans voted against this continuing resolution, more than the number who voted against the last government funding bill in September.
And really all a continuation is a continuation of bad spending policies.
Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burkett says he thinks the measure just kicks the can down the road and wants to pass a real budget. The continuing resolution buys more time for a broader agreement, but it's unclear if the spending cuts requested by Burkett and other hardline conservatives could ever be part of a bill that gets enough votes to pass the House.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission is using dramatic demonstrations to underscore how the season of lights and wonder can bring household hazards. CPSC released a new report about fires and injuries related to holiday decorating, cooking, and more.
The unthinkable can happen in an instant. Fires involving Christmas trees and candles are far too frequent in this holiday season.
So remember, a dry tree is a more flammable tree. The CPSC also reports nearly 15,000 people were treated in hospital emergency rooms last holiday season between November and January due to decorating-related injuries. More than 40% of those injuries involved falls, all while decking the halls. So be aware of your footing and the heights when decorating.
All right, the holidays are just around the corner, and if you have children, you're probably starting to think about toys. But there are so many, and we're here to give you some help.
ABC's Rena Roy takes a look at some top toy picks for the season and how you can get a good deal.
The new surprise plush you can make. Experts say one of the top trends in toys this year is literally a surprise.
These toys where, kids can mix things together and create their new friend really capitalizes on the surprise toy trend that we've seen really kicking into high gear.
Make My Puppy's Home with a surprise inside. My Puppy's Home lets kids build a doghouse, fill a bowl with water, and an interactive dog pops out. It's one of Good Housekeeping magazine's top toys of the year. Another popular category every year is nostalgia.
Hey, Furby!
Furbies are back, along with other old favorites like Light Bright Touch and Tamagotchis.
Parents like to buy things that they remember from their youth and that have been new and improved for a new generation.
And the Queen of Summer.
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken! Barbie is back again for the holidays.
Barbie toys are super hot this year because of the movie.
It is the best day ever. Other top picks from Good Housekeeping magazine this year are Bum Bums, small plush toys with different themes and characters.
Very soft, very cuddly, slightly weighted so they feel like a beanbag, and a great value there.
And Lego Creator House.
Building and rebuilding. That's the heart and soul of Lego Creator.
Good Housekeeping also has some tips to help you get good deals this season.
When you're shopping, add things to your cart, even if you don't intend to buy them right away. You'll get alerts from most retailers when things have dropped in price because Amazon does a lot of price matching. If it lowers in price on another site, there's a good chance that it will lower in price on Amazon and you'll get that notification. Don't shop too late, but also don't panic if it's not available in real time. Things usually get restocked before Christmas.
Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
We've had more than enough dry weather lately. We've had several nice days, but we need some rain in the forecast. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of it coming as the drought continues to worsen throughout this next week. And even the weekend doesn't look fantastic on Saturday because the winds are likely to kick up behind this front that's going to come through on Friday. We do have some significant rainfall possible on Tuesday, but the latest on the system right now, we've been watching it. We're still waiting for another update, but at the moment, 1,200 acres have been affected for the Match Creek fire. Now, that smoke, if we add that back in, yesterday it was drifting southward, but so far this morning, winds aren't blowing too much, so at the moment it's kind of just drifting around, but most of it should be moving northward as the winds pick up this morning because we'll have the winds blowing the opposite direction today. So it's likely not to affect areas like Bedford and Lynchburg like we saw yesterday, and it's going to be more for Rockbridge County and drifting towards the mountains northward. We're not seeing much of an improvement in the humidity today. It will go up slightly, but not a lot. Yesterday was the rock bottom for our humidity, but it is going to drop again once we get past this front coming through on Friday. Also, add on to the fact that we've got low humidity, we also, of course, still have the drought in place, and that's not likely to improve over the next few days. So throwing those together and a little wind, we have that elevated fire concern again today. And like I said, with no real significant rain in our forecast, we're not expecting it to get much better even early next week. Here's a look at the system to our south. Now, this is promising. It looks like it could be bringing some showers our way. Unfortunately, it's mostly going to be skirting around us and going up the coastline. So this next system, mostly from the cold front. You can see behind me, there's the coastal low that we were looking at over the southeast. But this front, as it hits the mountains, hits a lot of dry air, falls apart very quickly. Not very promising when it comes to rainfall. So when can we actually get some? Tuesday. It looks like this system that'll be rolling in early next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, that could bring some widespread heavy soaking rain, and that is much needed. And we'll see how close we can get to that. We need as much as we can get, though. Star City today, low 60s. Plenty of clouds, though, all day long. We'll be in the low 60s pretty much everywhere. 61 in Danville, 62 in South Boston, 60 degrees in Appomattox. Dropping back down to the low 30s tonight. Warmer weather for tomorrow and sunshine back in the forecast with cooling down weather back for the weekend. We're back below freezing as you go into Saturday and Sunday.
Still ahead, some stores are reconsidering self-checkout. Why they're having second thoughts.
Plus, a huge payout for Google. Why the tech giant owes Apple a whole lot of money.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Campers got a weekend sighting of sunshine and wild horses strolling through Assateague Island National Seashore. The feral horses inhabit the barrier island off the coast of Maryland and Virginia. The National Park Service tells humans not to feed them. Looks like the horses didn't get that memo. And here's a close-up of feathered friends that'll surely snatch your unattended and maybe your attended food.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
A man is in the hospital after spending hours in an upside-down SUV. This happened in Nebraska when the man drove off a bridge to avoid hitting a deer. According to firefighters, the driver said he was swerving. After swerving his vehicle, he hit a guardrail, rolled down an embankment, and into a shallow creek. He said he was stuck like that for about 6 hours until workers from nearby businesses heard his calls for help and discovered the wreck. First responders removed him from the vehicle. He's listed in serious condition.
Some major retailers are rethinking use of self-checkout technology. Self-checkout has led to higher merchandise losses from customer errors and intentional theft. A study of retailers in the U.S., Britain, and other European nations finds that companies with self-checkout lanes had a loss rate of about 4%. That's more than double the industry average. Stores including Walmart, ShopRite, and Costco have been working to limit losses by either removing self-checkout or adding more staff to monitor the lanes.
Google is paying Apple a lot of money for being the smartphone maker's default search setting. About 36% of the revenue Google makes in search advertising goes directly to Apple for that coveted spot. The number was revealed by an economics expert who testified yesterday on behalf of Google during the Department of Justice's antitrust trial targeting the tech giant. The U.S. government claims that agreement is evidence Google is illegally maintaining dominance over search engine markets.
Having a room where I could actually calm down and not worry about the other students judging me, it would be amazing.
The LGBTQ agenda in schools is about indoctrination and grooming our children.
Safe space not happening. Why the Lynchburg City School Board voted against a special grant and what will happen with the money that's now hanging in the balance.
Plus, we're staying on top of that fire in Bedford County that's exploded in size over just a couple days. What's closed right now because of it?
We're staying dry today, but you are going to see a lot more clouds outside today than the sunshine. I'll have more on the rest of the week coming up in just a few minutes.